This is a chilling tale of friendship, jealousy, and a web of secrets that led to a shocking revelation years later. Jessica and Kelly were inseparable from childhood, sharing everything: dreams, laughter, and even heartbreak. But beneath their perfect friendship, jealousy simmered. No matter how hard Kelly tried, Jessica always seemed to be one step ahead, excelling in school, admired by everyone, and even winning the heart of Jake, the man Kelly secretly loved. Envy turned into resentment, and resentment led to a deadly decision that changed everything. But what happens when the past refuses to stay buried? How can secrets long hidden resurface in the most unexpected way? Stick around to find out, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more gripping stories. Jessica and Kelly had been inseparable since birth, growing up side by side in the same small town. They shared everything: clothes, secrets, and dreams, so much so that people often mistook them for sisters. The only real difference between them was their skin tone. Jessica was fair-skinned, while Kelly had a warm tan. Their bond was unbreakable, and for years, it seemed nothing could come between them. But as they grew older, one thing became clear: Jessica was brilliant. She excelled in school, winning awards, and earning the admiration of teachers and classmates alike. No matter the subject, she was always at the top of the class. Kelly, on the other hand, struggled to keep up. No matter how hard she worked, she was always in Jessica's shadow. But Jessica never let the attention go to her head. She hated the spotlight and did everything she could to share her success with Kelly. If she won a competition, she would say it was because Kelly helped her study. If someone complimented her, she would downplay it, trying to lift Kelly up along with her. But despite Jessica's kindness, the difference between them began to gnaw at Kelly. No one ever noticed her when Jessica was around. Boys only had eyes for Jessica, even the ones Kelly secretly liked. It wasn't that Jessica was trying to outshine her. She just did, effortlessly. With every passing year, Kelly's jealousy grew. She smiled and laughed alongside her best friend, but deep inside, resentment festered. She was tired of being second best. And then came Jake, the boy who would change everything. Jake was the guy everyone wanted: smart, handsome, and from a wealthy family. He had charm, confidence, and a future that seemed destined for success. Every girl in town had a crush on him, including Kelly. But there was only one girl Jake had eyes for: Jessica. From the moment they met in college, Jake was captivated by her. He tried countless times to win her over, bringing her coffee before class, offering to walk her home, and even planning elaborate surprises to impress her. But Jessica wasn't interested. She had dreams, plans for the future, and no desire for distractions, not even from someone as perfect as Jake. She turned him down again and again, always polite but firm, making it clear that romance wasn't her priority. Kelly watched all of this unfold with a mix of frustration and heartbreak. She had been crushing on Jake for years, doing everything she could to get his attention, flirting, making small talk, even dressing up when she knew he'd be around. But it was useless. Jake only wanted Jessica, and Jessica didn't even care. It drove Kelly mad. Then, everything changed. One night, after years of turning him down, Jessica finally agreed to go on a date with Jake. No one saw it coming, not even Kelly. It was a simple dinner, nothing extravagant, but from that moment on, their relationship blossomed. Within months, they were inseparable, and before long, Jake proposed. Jessica said yes, and just like that, the man Kelly had always wanted slipped through her fingers forever. At their wedding, Kelly stood by Jessica's side as her bridesmaid, smiling on the outside but seething on the inside. She had lost again. But this time, she wasn't going to accept it. This time, she was going to do something about it. Kelly's resentment grew with every passing day, though no one could see it behind her perfect smile. On the surface, she was the supportive best friend, always there for Jessica and Jake, laughing at their jokes and celebrating their love. But inside, she was drowning in bitterness. Jessica had everything: success, love, and now a perfect marriage. And once again, Kelly was left in the background, forced to watch as Jessica effortlessly lived the life she had always dreamed of. That's when the idea took root. It started as a fleeting thought, a dark whisper in the back of her mind. But the more she thought about it, the more it made sense. If Jessica was gone, everything would fall into place. Jake would need someone to lean on. Max, their newborn son, would need a mother figure. And who better than the person who had always been by their side? Slowly, the thought turned into a plan, one she knew she could never take back. Kelly searched carefully, methodically, until she found someone willing to do the unthinkable. A hired hitman, someone who could make it look like a tragic accident. And one fateful night, as Jessica was heading home from work, that's exactly what happened. She never made it back. Jessica's sudden death shattered everyone, especially Jake. He was devastated, lost without the woman he had loved so deeply. Kelly played her role flawlessly, crying harder than anyone at the funeral, comforting Jake when he needed it most. No one suspected a thing. And as time passed, she slowly began to take Jessica's place. She helped with Max, took care of Jake, and made herself indispensable in their lives. The grieving husband, broken and vulnerable, had no idea that the woman he was beginning to rely on was the very reason his wife was gone. Kelly had finally gotten what she wanted. But at what cost? In the months after Jessica's death, Kelly became Jake's rock. She was always there, helping with Max, cooking meals, and making sure Jake didn't fall apart completely. She never rushed him, never pushed, just stayed by his side until, eventually, he started to see her in a different light. It wasn't long before their friendship turned into something more. Within a few years, they were married, and Kelly had everything she had ever wanted: Jessica's husband, her home, and the life that was once hers. But happiness didn't come as easily as she had imagined. No matter how hard she tried, Kelly couldn't get pregnant. Doctor visits, treatments, prayers, nothing worked. The frustration grew into bitterness, and in her twisted mind, she found something, or rather someone, to blame: Max. She convinced herself that as long as Jessica's son was in their home, she would never have a child of her own. "He's bringing bad energy into this house, Jake. That's why we can't have children," she whispered, planting seeds of doubt in her husband's mind. Jake, still fragile and easily influenced, eventually gave in. He sent Max away to live with his mother in another state, promising to visit and send money. But as time passed, those promises faded. Max became nothing more than a distant memory, just as Kelly had planned. Years later, when Kelly had all but erased the past, she finally got what she had longed for: a child of her own. She and Jake welcomed a beautiful daughter, Grace, and for the first time, it seemed like their family was complete. Kelly believed that the darkness of her past had been buried for good. But fate has a way of unearthing secrets, and the past she tried so hard to erase was about to come back in a way she never could have imagined. Years passed, and Grace grew into a beautiful, intelligent young woman. She had a bright future ahead of her, full of possibilities. Then, one fateful night, she met Michael at a local gala. He was charming, kind, and they connected instantly. Their conversations flowed effortlessly, and before long, they were inseparable. They fell deeply in love, believing they had found their perfect match. Michael had been raised by his grandmother, never knowing much about his early childhood. He had vague, distant memories of another life, one filled with love and warmth before everything changed. But his grandmother never spoke of his parents, and he never questioned it. To him, the past was a mystery, but it never seemed to matter. Until now. As their love deepened, Grace and Michael decided to introduce each other to their families. The night Michael walked into Grace's home, everything changed. The moment Jake and Kelly saw him, the blood drained from their faces. There, standing in their living room, was the boy they had cast aside all those years ago. Max, their abandoned son, was back, but he had no idea who they were. Panic set in as Kelly tried to stay composed, forcing a smile while her mind raced. Jake, on the other hand, was overwhelmed with guilt, barely able to speak, but the horrifying truth loomed over them. Grace and Michael weren't just lovers, they were siblings, and if the truth came out, it would destroy everything. The past Kelly had buried had finally returned, and this time, there was no escaping it. Jake couldn't keep the secret buried any longer. The guilt that had been eating away at him for years finally became unbearable. One night, he sat Grace down and told her everything. The truth about Max, how he had abandoned his own son, and the horrifying reality that she and Michael were siblings. Grace was shattered. The man she loved, the one she had imagined spending forever with, was actually her brother. It was too much to comprehend. Tears streamed down her face as she struggled to process the betrayal. Michael was just as devastated. The love they had built, the future they had planned, it all crumbled in an instant. They had no choice but to separate, their hearts broken beyond repair. The truth spread quickly, and the fallout was catastrophic. Friends, neighbors, and extended family whispered about the scandal, their once respected family name now tainted. Michael, unable to cope with the revelation, disappeared without a trace, leaving no way for Grace to reach him. Grief-stricken and betrayed, Grace made a decision. She cut ties with her parents, walking away from the life they had built on lies. Without Grace, Jake and Kelly were left alone with the wreckage of their choices. The marriage that had once been built on deception and ambition now crumbled under the weight of its own secrets. Jake couldn't forgive himself, and Kelly, for all her careful planning, was left with nothing. The life she had fought so hard to steal was gone, replaced with emptiness and regret. In the end, the past had caught up with them, and there was no escaping the consequences. Jealousy and betrayal may offer temporary victories, but in the end, they always come at a devastating cost. Kelly spent her life chasing what wasn't hers, only to lose everything in the end. No matter how carefully she tried to erase the past, it found its way back in the most painful way possible. The truth has a way of surfacing, no matter how deeply it's buried. What would you have done in Kelly's place? Do you believe karma played a role in her downfall, or was it simply the weight of her own choices catching up to her? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more gripping tales. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.